the content of these negotiations has been one humiliation after another. The Greek government is asked, is told in no uncertain terms that it has to come up with a concrete and detailed list of measures it is going to implement. And when the Greek government comes up with this list, then this list is not good enough. More concretion is demanded. More pre-measures are demanded from the Greek government. For 5 months, more and more demands have been piling up on the Greek government on the part of the institutions without anything being given in exchange. Because when they signed the agreement, they signed the previous deal on the 20th of February, which basically amounted to the extension of the previous bailout, temporary extension of the previous bailout. This was done on the understanding that the Troika was going to release 7.2 billion euro, which were remaining from the previous bailout, that had already been agreed and signed, so that there will be a certain room for maneuver, a certain breathing space in which the idea was that Greece was going to negotiate a whole package in relation to the debt as a whole. But not a single cent of euro has been released of this 7.2 billion euro. I mean, I don't want to bore the comrades with too many facts and figures, but there's one that I think reflects the scandalous nature of this relationship and the amount, to the extent to which the Troika has humiliated what is, after all, the sovereign, democratically elected government of Greece, which is that throughout this period of the bailout, the European Central Bank, which was holding Greek bonds, has made a profit on these bonds. This profit is 1.5 or 1.6 billion euro. And this money is still in the hands of the European Central Bank, which refuses to release this money to Greece. So Greece owes all this money to these European institutions. The European institutions are making a profit out of the debt of Greece, and they still refuse to release this money. And this is more scandalous because the amount of money that Greece is supposed to pay to the IMF on Tuesday, the last day of this month, is precisely 1.6 billion euro. It's the same amount that the European Central Bank has made profit out of Greek debt. So in reality, Greece shouldn't even be paying this money on Tuesday, which is being demanded nevertheless. And the European Central Bank, the European Commission, and the IMF, the Troika, they refuse to release a single cent to the Greek people. And this sense of humiliation has been building up for 5 months. Not only this, what in my opinion is worst about the whole situation that's developed over the last 5 months, is that there was this feeling on the part of the Greek people that the government they elected on 25th of January, with a majority, with a clear mandate to do what? To end austerity and to put an end to the memorandums, to the impositions on the economic policies of Greece, throughout these 5 months has been seen to be making one concession after another to the Troika. And these concessions started early on, and we criticized them at every single step. The fact that they went into a coalition agreement with a right-wing populist party, the Independent Greeks, the fact that they proposed the election of the President of the Republic, a candidate who is an experienced right-wing politician from New Democracy. All this was done in the understanding that this will soothe the markets, will calm the markets, will calm the market's fears, and will allow for an agreement to take place. And then on the 20th of February, the government already broke its mandate and signed a deal which included privatizations, the indefinite postponement of a whole number of the measures that the government had stood on in the elections and so on. And that was bad enough, but it was said that this was just a temporary deal in order to prepare for a full package, for a full negotiation. And so on and so on. And this is what we've seen in the last week. On Monday, the government of Greece, government of Tsipras, the government of Syriza, made a final proposal to the European Union, to the Troika, of a package of 8 billion euro worth of savings and tax increases. And this is what the Troika wanted. The Troika basically finally said that there has to be primary surplus in the budget of 1% for this year, 2% next year. The Greek government said we accept this demand, and these are the measures that they're going to allow for this to be implemented. And these measures were quite serious. There was about 2 billion euro worth of pension cuts. These are not direct pension cuts. It is not a reduction on the amount that the pensioners get in the pension, but it's an increase in the contributions of workers to the pension funds, social security contributions, and it's an increase in the amount that the pensioners have to contribute to the health insurance and other measures. So it's a cut, nevertheless, at the end of the day, but it's done in an indirect way. This package of 8 billion euros also included about a similar amount, to another 2 billion, of increases in VAT, the rejigging of the VAT, the different VAT bands. But this included a substantial increase in the VAT for basic food products like cheese, olive oil, and I can't remember the other one. There was a third one that was, sorry? Pasta. I think there was another one, but maybe pasta as well. Anyway, so basic food products will now be given a VAT tax of 23% as opposed to 13%. This is a direct, immediate increase of 10% in the price of basic food products. And who is this going to hit? It's going to hit working people. VAT is a regressive tax that everyone pays the same, and therefore the ones who have less, in effect, are paying more than the capitalists. The capitalists are not particularly worried about VAT. And then, on top of all these different measures, there was another part, which was about about 2 billion euros, of taxing the rich, taxing the capitalists. There was an increase in the rate of corporate tax from 26 to 29%, and a one-off, and this is the most important part of this package from the point of view of taxing the rich, a one-off 12% tax on the profits of all companies making over €500,000 a year, which is not many. It's about 1,500 companies, but it will put some of the burden of these cuts on the capitalists. What was the response of the Troika? At the beginning, on Monday, it seemed that they agreed. They said this is a good basis for a framework to study and discuss a possible agreement and so on, in the inimitable language that they use. But then on Tuesday, the IMF said this is not acceptable, and they put their foot down. And it's for different reasons. I don't want to go into all the details because otherwise it's going to be very long. But I think that the counter proposal that they came up with shows clearly what was their aim. And they said, yes, we agree there has to be 8 billion euro package. We agree with the general principle, but we want, first, more cuts in pensions, more direct cuts in pensions, earlier introduction of pension cuts that are already in the government proposal, that some of the things were supposed to be introduced in 2025, should be introduced by 2022. Other things should be immediately implemented from this year instead of being phased out over a period of time, i.e. putting more pressure, a higher percentage of the burden on pensioners and working people. And remember that pensioners in Greece have already lost about 40 to 50% of the value of their pensions, and about 45% of Greek pensioners now live under the poverty line, in a situation where there are hundreds of thousands of families in Greece where the only income is the pension of the elderly who live in that family unit. And so the pensioners are being asked to pay even more. The other part of the IMF counter proposals, or the Troika counter proposal, was that there should be higher increases on VAT, i.e. the workers must pay more. And then, scandalously, they said that the corporation tax should not rise from 26 to 29, but only to 28. But scandalously, the one-off tax on profits, which was going to bring in a large amount of money, I can't remember, 500 million or something like this, was going to be scrapped, completely deleted. So it's clear the IMF was demanding that the workers pay more, the pensioners pay more, the poor people pay more, and the capitalists get off scot-free from this package. But even this was not the reason why the deal was broken in the end, because over the next few days, there were lots of different meetings and negotiations at different levels, political meetings, technical meetings, the Eurogroup finance ministers meetings, the political meeting, and so on. And they were narrowing down the differences. By the end, it was said that the difference between one proposal and the other was only about 100 million euro. This is a small difference out of a total package of 8 billion, right? So why is it that there was no deal? And the one thing that finally broke this deal was the fact, as Orestes explained, that Germany and Finland put the foot down and said, whatever deal is on the table is not related and cannot come accompanied with any debt relief or restructuring of the Greek debt. So, I mean, even Tsipras and Varoufakis, the Greek finance minister, who have tried, their whole strategy has been based on trying to get an agreement. And they've made concession after concession after concession. Well, all these concessions they were making in the hope to get some debt relief. They can't make all concessions and then come up with nothing in exchange. It's complete madness. And this is what finally broke the deal. And Tsipras returned to Greece, called for a meeting of the government, and they said, we're going to go for a referendum. And, but the thing is that why is it that Tsipras wants to go to a referendum? What's the thinking behind it? And a number of ministers have come out last night and this morning, and they have explained it clearly. The Minister of Interior, the Minister of Administration Reform, a whole number of ministers have said it, black on white. They said, what we want is a no vote in this referendum. We want to reject the Troika's latest ultimatum so that we can get a better negotiating position and seek a better agreement with the institutions. So despite the fact that 5 months have gone, and the one clear conclusion from these 5 months is that the whole basis of the negotiating strategy of the leading group in Syriza is completely bankrupt, the idea that you can implement the Thessaloniki program of reforms on the basis of reaching a deal with the Troika, that somehow you can either divide the Troika, divide the European countries between the soft and the hardliners, that you can maybe rely on the United States, which has a different position, that you can somehow convince them with trickery or financial wizardry or words or by any means, that you can convince them to basically allow Greece not to pay its debts for a period of time while they get economic growth, so that then when they get economic growth, on the basis of a Keynesian program, they will be able to repay its debts. That's the whole basis of the negotiating strategy of Varoufakis and Tsipras. But the Troika at each point, each juncture has said no, 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 no. And even when they say no yesterday and the whole thing breaks down, they still hope that somehow, miraculously, by getting a big vote against the Troika's ultimatum, then the Troika will be somehow convinced, because they are too afraid of Grexit and the economic implications of Greece's leaving the eurozone, that they will put some other deal on the table. And this, in my opinion, is difficult to say. And the last 5 months have shown us that there is nothing completely definite in relation to these negotiations. But this seems to me that it's very unlikely, highly unlikely. And in the end, if you think about it, it comes down to this as well. It comes down to the question of that the Greek people voted for a government with a clear mandate to end austerity and implement a whole series of basic reforms, an emergency social program to reverse the cuts that have been implemented in the past and alleviate the situation for working people. We fully agree with this program, with these demands, with these measures. But the European